Another Mids Watch, guys. It's been a little while, but this is good. This is a guy sitting here. He's run his male action plan or his map. He's starting to see some success and he's got a setback, and now he's trying to figure out what the next steps are. And in doing this, he's discovered 3 things. 1 is the 1,000-foot tow rope. 2 is a great example of how men really need to have it hammered home that men and women aren't the same. And 3, the most important part, the most common mental model, the most common red-pilled mistake that men make. So I'll get started. So he's a typical, already seen 1,000 times. I was your average beta, nerdy, clueless guy, no success with girls in high school. I didn't go to college. He started his first business at 18. He met this cute girl at 22, and by luck, she somehow got into him. She wasn't perfect, but he thought she had potential. Married her at 25 because it was the next step, and he probably felt he couldn't land any better. So now, he's 34, he's got 3 boys, and they make his world, and that's sweet. Time passes, and the beta him still keeps messing it up until a couple years ago when finally the sex deprivation and frustration made him stumble into Married Man Sex Life Primer and the Athol K forums. This is old school because that's long since gone, and that's a sad tale, but that's another episode. So he's seen it as an enlightenment, but at the same time, some of the stuff looks fishy or too extreme for his still blue-pilled mindset. So he wasn't ready to unplug, and he struggled to apply its principles in his life. If anything, he restarted sports, so it wasn't a complete waste. Then about a year ago, he switched jobs and went into full red pill. So we got a shopping list of the things he's done here. He started reading all the sidebar. He started lifting. He stopped asking for sex and things. He started being more assertive. And then he realized, I talked about it before, the caveman or just walking away for it. So he's like, yeah, smashing is cheap. So just do it hard, get in, get out. Not worried so much about using it as like a validation tool. And he says the one model he loves is look at what she says, or look at what she does, not what she says. And he goes, this is the truest truth of all the truths, and changed his life. Take a realization on how not making decisions was killing the relationship. He lost a bunch of weight. Now he's like 170 pounds and about 6 feet tall, and he looks great naked, according to him. No pictures, sorry. He learned the power of no. Again, this is... I like how he it's like the simplest stuff, but it's good because most guys kind of skip it. I know Robert Glover and Manuel Smith are not the most interesting red pill books, but they probably have the biggest bang for your buck. He's got time for sport, for music, and he's out one night a week by himself and enjoying it without any guilt. He got a new wardrobe twice. Now he gets to wear tight-fitting suits and shirts, and the girls notice. It says females notice. And he understands his wife married him because she saw he had potential. And for years, he voluntarily picked underpaid jobs in which he learned stuff, which is bad since he earned less than she did. And good, it's in that he's now very, very good and at the top of his job. So now he finally makes more than her. And this is, by the way, super common thing. A little bit of assertiveness. And guys end up finding how badly they were undervalued. In his case, he went up 30% of his income in a year. And he thinks he can get the same next year. I had that same thing myself. So he learns he has options. He got hit on for the first time ever at his last job. The cliched, blonde, busty secretary. He expected to feel empowered, but somehow really didn't care and joked about it at home, which is good, I guess. And then more on the topic, a favorite female coworker, which he got along really well with. We both acknowledge. Oh, so basically he had an office wife. Yeah, anyways, he switched jobs. We keep in touch, the occasional lunch, light and fun and flirty. So the stuff he still has to do is lift heavier, play the guitar more, retake control of money. This one's tricky. I gave up control early in the relationship, and when we met, I was quite a spender and she was a saver. She also manages everything tax related. She's very good at both, and we're doing great money-wise. This one, a side note, is very important. Now, there's going to be an essay. It's going to be on the Sidebar series about taking control of the treasury. Put a pin in that so when you do see it, and if you're watching this after the fact, there's going to be a video on this channel. on the sidebar about taking control of it. It's a very, very important one. He kind of understood it here, but this was before the time, so he was kind of learning it as he went. And then he wants to learn more about power talk and non-violent communication. So first off, I had this moment a while ago when I seriously asked myself, do you really want this marriage? And he said, yeah. And since he's set on saving it, become a better man, which should be enticing her to up her game so we both get what we want. And then he says, with this mindset, I was okay having a third kid and I don't regret it. I don't know why he says this looks weird to RedPillers. I don't think we're like, why would you have children? Like, that's more female dating strategy, but what do I know? So here he is now, decent shape, nicer clothes, better job, good options career-wise in sight. He knows he can get other women. He was always very tactile with her, so the kino part was easy. He added dirty texting and partial success. Again, it was a previous episode where he talked about separating sex and intimacy. He's got that down. The period in which she fitness tested him about his new habits kind of ended, and she knows this is a permanent change. Again, see what I mean? Look, everything here is good, and it's going to be kind of funny when we get to the part where you find out exactly what is the major problem he's having, and it's so common. Even from a guy who looks like he's crushing it, right? To continue, sex is up and down, depending on her level of fatigue. It's proportional to the baby's sleeping time. If she initiates, if she wants to sleep, he says okay, and he goes and does something else. So he takes rejection well. She starts to change, pays more attention to her clothes, adds makeup, starts hitting the gym. And he's like, she always was slim until after the baby. So this is nice. And then a couple days ago, found out she's got some abdominal injury, possibly from the last pregnancy, but it's been there for a while unnoticed. She needs a surgery, but it can't be done until about a year from now. And meanwhile, the doc says she has to avoid working her abs, which is like anything physical. So anything for the gym is out. And he stated at some point that he was working out to be the best him that he could be, and that she ought to do the same. And for now, she can't. Obviously not her fault. He feels disappointed. The idea that he has to wait another full year so that she might start working out. And I'm fully aware that he's to blame for all the wasted blue pill BS the relationship we had. But the thought of all that waste makes me want to headbang walls sometimes. And then he starts going into like his head, like, oh, in the dark corner of my mind, I know it's, attractiveness. And every year is like a countdown and the general moping stuff. So he's trying to set some goals, and he doesn't know where to go from here. Do I cook healthier food? Do I dress better? No excuses. You can dress well regardless of your condition. Practice wearing heels. He's like, all right, it's your guys' turn. So the first part, I want to talk about the 1,000-foot tow rope. This is a concept. I don't think it came out when this came out, because this was about 6 years ago. So this would have made it 2015-ish. But the 1,000-foot tow rope was something we noticed, where a lot of guys, they fix their life. They fix all the unattractive stuff. They dress better, they look better, they act better, hygiene, style, all of that stuff. Then when they get there, they kind of turn around and get irritated at the wife. The first step of it I've noticed is the guy starts to resent the wife. And they wonder, is it normal? I'm supposed to hate her after I've done so well for myself and I've gotten great? And you're like, yeah, it's pretty much normal. It's because you don't actually hate her. It's just that every time you see her doing anything lazy, it reflects your past performance on yourself. And so you hate how it's a mirror flipping back at you. It goes away with time. Second part of it, the 1,000-foot tow rope, is the next step. The guys will stop wanting to sleep with her, but then horniness takes over that, thank God. The 1,000-foot tow rope is the concept and the mental model we gave to guys here. It's like, understand, it's like a ship tugging another boat with a 1,000-foot tow rope. If you change direction, the other ship doesn't change direction right away. It's got 1,000 feet of line to pay out. And that may take 6 months, that may take 7 months, but eventually it's going to notice you're going in a completely different direction. And either the boat does its own thing, or it starts to turn into you slowly but surely. Because this is a very common question among married guys is, how do I get my life to lose weight? And funny enough, the only answer we've seen so far, other than the very red pill one of you can't tell people what to do, you can't manipulate them that way, and you got to stop thinking that that's a goal because she will mess it up on purpose. You get yourself in good shape. You get it to the point where you have options, and if your girl has any desire in keeping you, they tend to follow suit. Reason for that is pretty straightforward. It's funny how when I talk about BPD, borderline personality disorder, guys think about that as some kind of disease. It's not a disease. It's just the traits that make women women amplified. So think of BPD. The girl is automatically the girl of your dreams. You say, I like this. She goes, oh, well, I am that. Oh, I love reading this book. Oh, well, I wrote this book. Best first impressions a guy could make. The rumor spread that I'd slept with my coworker's fiance after taking him out for his stag. Yeah, my favorite thing is a girl wears a sundress and a summer hat. She goes, oh, I just happen to have one in my trunk. Hold there. She basically fills all your fantasies. And it's not just like a manipulative trick. Her mind is actually hardwiring itself, or soft wiring itself, I guess, too, to like fit your wants for an identity. It's a great complement to narcissistic personality disorder, which is why crazy tends to go in groups. Here's the point, though. If you're a 49ers fan, your girl will become a 69ers fan. If you're a huge fan of Minecraft live streams, your girl will become a big fan of Minecraft live streams. It's not that they're doing it because they know it makes you happy. When a girl is into a guy, when he's the hypergamous best option, she actually changes her preferences to match his. That's why when you're dating a girl and you'll see something like she has some crazy hobbies. It's an old Uncle Vaz post, and I'll have to get to it at some point here, where it's no girl built a hobby out of a vacuum. They always learned it from some man in their life before you. Father, ex-husband, whatever. So again, you're taking this exact concept and you're applying it strategically in your marriage. And this is where the 1,000-foot toe rope comes in. You get in shape. You establish that it's a permanent thing. You like being in shape. You're going to be in shape. It's not a phase. It's not a fad. It's who you are now. And then once you get to that point where there's an attractive spark in there and there's no guarantee it'll happen, the other person tends to like working out too. So that's something to understand, because a lot of guys get frustrated on this. Next part, it's kind of funny because men aren't women. And I'll tell you this, and everybody in the chat, you'll like, yeah, of course men aren't women. I know men aren't women. Everybody knows men and women are different. Are they though? Do they though? Here's the thing. He's like, damn it, if my girl can't go to the gym, then she's not going to be in shape and it's going to let us down, and all this work I did to be attractive for her will count for nothing. Notice if you can pick up on the covert contract there. But C-Pain, one of the best guys ever in this one. He's probably going to come up in a few mids watches later anyway. He's around the same generation as me. Very switched on. He's probably handled the biggest shit test. He had an entire 5 or 6 subreddits all pouncing on him at once. 50,000 people giving him a blast of shit. He held frame through all of it. It's pretty impressive. But he's like, your wife's not a man. She doesn't need muscle to look good. She needs to control her diet. If she began working out, you'd have the exact same issue still. You have to control. Calories in, calories out. And he's like, don't worry about eating healthy. Don't worry about macros. Like, what does healthy even mean? Control your caloric intake and don't eat crap. And they actually went in for a while talking about the details of it, but it was almost like a revelation to the guy. He's like, holy crap. So all I have to really do is just keep her from eating the candy? Like, yeah, that's basically it. If girls aren't jacked, you're not going to love them any less. That's for guys. So it's funny. But moving on from there. Next part, as always, Jack 10 of Hearts. I love how he starts. So we're going to get into the common red-pilled mistake guys make. It's deceptively common, and I'll start it right here. There is a destructive line of red pill thinking that goes something like this. Ah, for F's sakes, why is she not doing what I want about this? She has to know I feel very strongly about this, so it's like she doesn't even care. Doesn't she realize there are potential consequences? If she doesn't become, more enthusiastic about sex or lose weight or stop being careless about money, what does she think is going to happen? I'm going to put up with this forever? Heck with that. She's already got it too good. Would she ever been able to meet and marry another man like me? Hell no. I may have been a naive idiot when we met, but if we divorce now, I could be sleeping with half a dozen women hotter than her within a month. And man, I really want to sleep with those girls. I never even realized there was something I could do like this when I was younger. It's so tempting to just give this new improved me a spin on the open market. The fact that she doesn't even realize this is pissing me off. Pausing on this. This is funny because I can't help but think Jack and I had some beef back in the day, and I can't help but thinking this was the start of it because it's kind of one of the things I suggest that worked for me is act as if your wife was dead. Do what you need to do, get your things done. Usually one of two things happen. Wife steps up, or the wife doesn't step up, and you reach that revelation that you got a lazy anchor holding you down and you need to make some changes. So he doesn't agree with that. Again, you kind of see, and he's talking how it's destructive. He says for several reasons. Like first, it's projecting your frustration for your sexual past onto her. You're pissed you never got a chance to have that period of enjoyable sexual promiscuity in your life, and you view that as some sort of sacrifice you've made for her, so at least you figure you're entitled to a hot, fit, and sexually enthusiastic wife. And this will lead to all sorts of cracks in your frame because everything you're doing is not for yourself, but it's just being done to fuel your entitlement hamster. You'll see her eat a cupcake at your kid's birthday party, and that'll trigger all sorts of resentment about how you married a fat ass who eats cupcakes. And even if you don't verbally lash out, you're still acting and reacting in all sort of ways that make it clear your frame is hardly going to be disciplined, yet comforting, aka the oak. You probably need it when you're going to try and get your wife to change. And this resentment will also cloud out any constructive ideas you may have had at encouraging your wife's self-improvement, because you feel owed. So you won't care to think about what you can do to enable her. It starts with an analogy here. Let's say some stranger owns you $5,000 for damaging your property. Then he says, I don't have the money. Can you help me figure out a way to earn it? And your inclination is to say, piss off and pay me. You hit my car. I don't know you. Your lack of income is not my problem to solve. And if he doesn't pay you, then you sue him in court, you win a judgment, and garnish whatever wages he earns in the future. He probably won't like you very much if you do that, but then again, it's not your problem and not something you care about. Now, replace that stranger with a cousin you like. Say it's a student. Say he's trying to do things like take a job to pay the money he owes you, but it's tough for him to do that and stay on top of his studies. And you like your cousin. You do want to be paid back, but you don't want it to do in a way it's destructive to him. So don't drop out of university just to do this. And so you don't want to sue him because you think it's a pretty crappy thing for family members to sue each other instead of working it out. He owes you, sure, but suing him in court is a zero-sum destructive solution. And your cousin would clearly prefer some sort of constructive solution. So there are extra conditions in place that make the payback you're entitled to not the most important priority. So maybe you work something out where he helps you with some house project instead of paying you. Maybe he does less. Maybe you wait till after university, whatever. So he's hoping you can see the analogy where your wife and your desires for her weight loss and appearance. There's a lot of potential options you have and a lot of ways to lead her constructively to the kind of lifestyle you think you should have. But posturing with an attitude of, can you just lose the weight already, you fat ass, is probably not conducive to considering these options. And I'd say most people, men and women, can only change so much in one direction in a short period, less than a year. So if you're someone who never flosses, it's going to take something like a sustained effort to become someone who does floss. It doesn't happen overnight. Like a smoker who quits immediately, that finds out his older brother has some dramatic external event happening, like gets lung cancer. You may have to accept that your wife will only have limited willpower to change on her own. It's like he said, you can enable her, you can help her, but that requires further investing in your time and effort in the marriage. And it's unlikely you'll care to do that if you feel entitled to these changes that she should be making on her own anyway. So quick pause on this one until we finish it off, but I like what he's doing here. Like he's showing you frame is everything. That's like the number one iron rule of Rollo Tomasi. Frame matters all. And everybody thinks that means, well, just don't get mad if my wife's acting like a bitch, or, learn how to take rejection without acting it. Consider this one. Yeah, your wife wants to lose weight after the baby. So what do? Well, she should be. She has to. She's supposed to. And get all these entitlement things. And most guys have this. I don't care who you are. Every guy has had this at his moment. Unless he's, read up on Red Pill and he's past these moments. At least recently. Because 6 years ago, this was pretty damned common. But he realizes the mental model he has where I did all this work. I sacrificed my sexual past for her. And now she owes me. And it's weird because like feminists and blue pill and purple pillars and soccer moms, and they always like to bitch about how men aren't entitled to anything. And men don't generally think they are. But this is that one situation where all of a sudden they start building up an entitlement. And this is how you can tell a guy is not quite red pill. He's still sucking on that blue teat. You just got to realize, like when they say do it for you, it's not like some platitude like you don't need nobody. Do it for you means you're doing as part of a covert contract. Again, he was talking a lot about very basic stuff. He got the assertiveness training. He got the nice guy stuff. That's the one thing he really missed, and it's every guy's blind spot. It's covert contracts. That's the point of this whole post. Covert contracts. Here's the thing. Had he let all of this stuff go, then it's just a simple logistical issue. The C-Pan's thing about cutting at calories and diet as well, and don't worry about it. She doesn't need muscles to be hot. Well and good. But this is about fixing the mind. That's the stuff that's important. And again, if you decide you want to stay with your wife, then yeah, you like her more than a stranger. So investing a little bit, it's a choice you make. It's up to you. Anyways, nobody has to do any of this stuff. You can obviously treat her just like the stranger if you're planning on leaving anyway. Just keep that in mind. And then the other big one. If you haven't smashed enough in your life where you find it saving the best, like this guy, he didn't go as far as saving the best, but he has the same thing there where it's, he gave up his sexual past, so he sacrificed it for her. If that's going to be any amount of a concern in you, I don't care how good the girl is. Tell her not yet. I need to take a year for myself, and then you go and you bang everything you can, because once you decide to settle down monogamously, that's going to be something that hangs over your head, and you really have to get it out of the way. Just like I said in the first chapter of my book, I was all focused on the notch count until I met somebody and I had totally forgotten about them. Didn't even remember they were there. I forgot their notch, I forgot their name, I forgot their face. At that point, I'm like comfortable. I'm like, okay, so this means no matter what happens, I know I can get more, and it's not going to be like I'm missing some kind of like complete memory. And now it's just a thing. So back to Jack. Yeah, she goes a little private here. My wife actually struggled with her weight after we had our kids, and it was the closest period to us having anything like a dead bedroom because her self-esteem was in the shitter. She felt fat. She was fat, and this put a huge damper on our frequency and her enthusiasm. She knew this, we knew this, but we just couldn't get her shit together to fix it. It came really close to probably the same feelings that Op is having now. Jesus Christ, woman, just lose the weight already. It can't be that hard. Do you not realize what will happen if you don't fix all this stuff and our marriage is not addressed? But he took another approach. This is what worked for him. Best advice you're ever going to get on the red pill. It's not do this, do that. It's not preaching morals. It's I tried this and it worked for me. And that's why I love the old school red pill stuff, not that crap we have now. So he doesn't talk about the approach because it's very much not a canonical red pill approach, which is funny in retrospect. Our sexual problems were due to her self-esteem. Her self-esteem was due to her weight struggles. And she added just enough value to my life that I was willing to put in the work to figure out how to solve it for us, not just her. So this was also something that I knew Dread wouldn't solve, because all that would do is drive her self-esteem even lower into the ground. Any Dread-induced hamstring would have backfired in one of several ways. And he's making a reference to Dread backfiring. There's a video in the back catalog. You have to go check it out. It's one of the earlier ones. So to conclude, he's like, Op, ask yourself these questions. Is your wife capable of giving you her all? Or is it something beyond her means no matter what ideal behavior she demonstrates? If your wife is capable of giving you her all, are you willing to lead her into doing so? Or do you feel entitled that she should give it all without any further help from you? And if you're willing to help her, do what she needs to do so you can both have it all, does she add enough value in her life in other ways that you're willing to, in turn, do the work to lead and support her? Now, it's okay to answer no to any of the above. It really is. All that means is that you have to give up on the idea that your wife will ever be able to do anything that will make you feel like you have it all. And you may have to give up on that idea or focus your energies on having it all in ways that aren't limited by her behavior. Example, divorce, or that secretary at work. And he responds to it. It's not really important. He just steers the entire thing. Defend, explain, excuse, and rationalize. It's just a way of like deflecting the issue. Anyways, he never came back. They never ever come back. But I want you guys to take one lesson from this one. Covert contracts are the hardest. They're the first thing you learn, and they're the hardest thing to shed. They are the most common mistake red pill guys make. And you have to understand, even when you think you're doing things for you, you're doing things because you have an expectation that others will follow suit. You got to shed that stuff from your mind. Again, it's a very simple equation, but it's a very hard equation at the same time. Does that person offer value to me in all the ways that matter? And is it worth me helping them in the things that matter to me that they're deficient in? Again, some of you guys probably don't like it because you're just married to a cunt, in which case, yeah, I'd say ditch her. Treat her like the stranger. I don't care. Fuck you. Pay me. But if not, just be prepared. There's a 1,000-foot tow rope. There's going to be a lot of work on your end before you see any change from her. And you can't do any of the things for yourself with the expectation that she does change. You have to expect that she may want to change. She may not. I've already talked about the process to get there. Again, that little bit of borderline personality that every girl has will help her like the things that you like. But again, and this is what I mean by leadership. A lot of guys think leadership is just by barking orders or taking picnics in the camp with your kids. It's like, no. It means setting the example. Setting the example, signaling high value, and the people who want to be part of your group will do what they have to do to stay into it. It's just setting expectations and giving them the opportunity to meet them or not. So Sam, I hope you enjoyed this one. Catch you guys on the next episode. Cheers.